Hi everyone. Well, this is our first Instagram Live of the American Translators Association Audiovisual Division. Welcome. I'm really glad to be here. I mean, we are so excited. This is a first of a many series of interviews with really interesting people of the audiovisual field. So welcome. We'll have a chat today with the founders of the Audiovisual Division. They are Deborah Wexler, Lis Salotti, Gabriela Gonzalez Meade, and Campbell. These are four amazing ladies who are super experienced in audiovisual translation field. And they will tell us a little bit about their background and what they do and maybe something more, we'll see. But the idea is to have a really nice time and like a casual chat with them, and also why not learn something new. I'll start now with Deborah. Yes, she is the administrator of the division. Let me see if I can invite her to our chat. There she is. Hi Debbie, how are you?
Hi, fine. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, perfectly. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's Saturday morning. Very nice day here. Go
Okay,
on.
that's
You were in the middle of a sentence.
yeah. No, I was going to tell everybody that now you are going to tell us a little bit more about the division, okay, and a little bit more about yourself, if you like. What's the division about? Can you tell us?
Well, the division was formed, when we were formed, there were 20 divisions in ATA, and several individuals and groups throughout the years have had asked the question, where's the audiovisual division? So our genesis really started the day that Lis Salotti, who's the assistant administrator of the division, came and sat with Gabby and with myself in one of the conferences and said, what if we join forces? What if we do this? What if we just work towards it and go find out how to do it and write the letters and the proposals? And that's what we did. And we were very lucky that the ATA thought that it merited creating a division like this one.
Okay, that's so cool. And tell us a little bit more about yourself. I mean, I know what you do, but people who are seeing this maybe don't know what you do. What do you specialize in?
I'm an audiovisual translator and I specialize in subtitling. I also have done dubbing. I just got certified as a re-speaker, which is live subtitling, and I'm very excited about that. But subtitling is what I have been doing all my life, all my adult life, even starting as a teenager. So that is my passion and my love. Right now,
Yeah.
I'm director of localization of the Americas and Asia Pacific for Pixelogic. But still, my passion is translating for subtitling.
Yeah, like mine also. I love subtitling. I mean, it's the best. And when I imagine that when you started working in the industry, as we say, or in this field, things were a little bit different than now. Is that right?
Yes, let me tell you a story. Just to give the young people an idea of, right now they're just spoiled with working in the cloud. Back
Yeah.
then you work with physical media. So you had to drive yourself to the TV station, get a beta or a VHS, and then drive back. This is after you could work at home. At the beginning, you couldn't work at home, but this is when you worked at home. Work on it, and then drive back to the station with a disc with your file in it. So I will not name names to protect the innocence, but one of my colleagues went. He was doing a rush translation, so he worked all night, finished, jumped in his car, ran to the TV station, got there, and the disc was corrupted. So he had to go back home, which was like 45 minutes away. So he went back home and then got two discs just to be sure, and then he crashed on the way to the TV station.
Oh my God.
Yes, and then he was fine. He got again into his car after arguing with the taxi cab that he crashed with, and then got to the TV station with 2 discs, and then they were good. But those were the rushes back then. Right now, rush is like you work all night and then you plop into bed, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I used to have some problems with my PC crashing down and losing some part of the job. Now everything's on the cloud, as you say. It's so much easier for us to work like that. But in the past, it was not so easy. And did you start with VHS or DVD or what?
No, we started with, we would work, I think Gabby's going to talk about a little bit about this, but we would work in a station with huge equipment with a video that's called a 3/4 inch tape. The tape was huge, like I'm holding my phone in my hand, so I cannot show you, but it was like this big.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty big. And then
Yes.
we went into when the betas and the VHSs came along, then you could work at home, but before that you could not.
Yeah, I know, but we come a long way, definitely.
Yes.
And do you have any, I don't know, funny story to tell us, or something out of the ordinary that happened to you while working?
I can tell you what the worst thing I have ever seen in subtitling live on TV has been. Like one time I saw a movie called, it's Michael Douglas. I think it's called Don't Say a Word.
Yeah.
If anyone has that DVD at home, please go look at it and tell us if that mistake is still there. But I was watching it on TV one night, and suddenly something appeared on screen and it says in Spanish, "I don't understand," in parentheses, which was which was what a translator left there for the QCer. And the QCer just did not either. Nobody QC'd that movie. The QCer didn't understand either and left it because they were going to get back to it. But this was live television with this thing there. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never worked with live television. It must be so stressful. I mean, I've worked with tight deadlines, but never live. I mean, this would be nerve-wracking.
But this was pre-recorded. So I have another story about really live subtitling, which shouldn't be. All your subtitles should be in before you go live. But this was a broadcast. This was a few months before I started working for this public channel in Mexico City. And they had a problem with a movie called China Syndrome, which is also a Michael Douglas movie.
Yeah.
They started broadcasting, let's just say a Sunday at 8 o'clock at night, and the subtitles were not done yet. So there were several subtitlers going with a Chiron operator, just typing away crazy fast. And as the commercial blocks would come, they would load the next group of subtitles. It was just absolute insanity. So that is the only time I've heard that they are doing this really live, because it was, of course, a mistake. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. And I know, which advice would you give someone who's starting now? I mean,
who's starting as a subtitler?
Yeah, or in a visual in general. I mean, anything.
Well, not in general, because there's so many specialties, but a subtitler, I can tell you, you can go to the TED Talks program. That is how you can teach yourself with the support of the TED Talks community to subtitle. That is the fastest way of doing this. Yeah, that was what I always tell my students or anyone who asks me how you started. Well, I started 20 years ago. I mean, there was no internet. Well, there was internet, but it was by phone. There was no cloud or no special software on the cloud. I mean, you received your discs to work. I mean, CDs. It was like, it seems, I mean, I sound like a dinosaur, but I'm not so old. I mean, no, we are not so old, but it seems that it happened such a long time ago. Anyway,
I mean, it's wonderful what you're telling us. I love the division. I mean, it's a great way of reaching out other fellow translators who want to specialize in an audiovisual translation. That's awesome. And I thank you for your time and for your hard work. And we'll see you
We'll see
maybe
you.
in other interviews. Okay,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
Daniela. Bye-bye.
That was really, really awesome. I mean, to hear how you used to work in the past and now things are so much different. Yeah. Now I'll invite Annalise. She is the assistant administrator of the division. Let me send her an invite so you get to know her. She's there. Hi, Anna. How are you?
Good.
Hi.
How are you, Dani?
Fine, thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, Debbie told us about how the idea of the division was brought to life, but what do you do? What's your specialty?
So, well, I'll first say that I am the assistant administrator to the audiovisual division at the ATA. And I have been translating and proofreading and QCing audiovisual content since probably 2004. Yeah, 2005, 2004. I'm originally from Argentina. I translate into Spanish, Latin American Spanish. So one of my specializations is audiovisual content, and another one is environment and social justice. In the environment, you know, like birds, as you can see behind me, is one of the things that I do about bird life and anyway, yeah, like social sciences and democracy and social justice. But in audiovisual content, I've been working, like I said, since 2004. I started in Argentina doing soap operas into English, American English. So it was the Argentine soap operas of the early 2000s. And again, seemingly to what you and Deborah were discussing, very old technology. Even though it was the 2000s, we worked with CDs and VHS as well, and TV sets next to the computer. So it was very different back then too. So we're doing dubbing for that, for a script translation for dubbing. And then I also went into subtitling after a few years. I worked for regional distribution companies, South American, and cinema festivals from Argentina mainly. And then I moved away from Argentina. I did a master's degree in Australia, and then I moved to the US. And once in the US, 6-7 years ago, I started doing some QCing of audiovisual content for streaming for a streaming company. And I also teach audiovisual translation now at a master's level, the NYU master's degree in translation, the New York University, which is an online course.
That's so cool. I mean, being a teacher is so nice.
I really enjoy teaching, and audiovisual content has been, teaching audiovisual translation has been really challenging, but also very satisfying.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's really fun. And
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, are always too eager to learn because it's something so close to them. I mean, everybody watches movies. So, I mean, so I assume you've translated many genres, like, I don't know, comedy, horror movie. Have you translated any horror movies? Do you like them? Because I hate them.
I hate horror movies. And for a while, I remember getting tons of horror movies to translate or proofread. for mainly the subtitle files. And I remember I was so scared. I can tell you about two particular instances. I was translating one and proofreading the other one. I was translating The Exorcist. You know, when they have reruns and they decided to re-subtitle that one, even though The Exorcist is very old. So I was subtitling The Exorcist, and it was late at night. I used to work a lot at night, running against the clock. And
it's not the best time to do a horror movie.
Yes, not a great time, I know, but I needed to submit that the following morning or something like that.
Yes.
And so I was translating that one, The Exorcist, and I was living with a housemate then, and I thought he was already, you know, asleep. So I thought I was alone in the living room, and I had my headset, so I couldn't really hear anything. And I was in a very, like, I don't remember exactly, but I was in a very sort of scary part of the movie, and you know how it plays on your psychology, that movie. And so I was very into the movie, and apparently he was calling me or telling me something, and I didn't hear. And so he had the great idea of tapping me on the shoulder.
Oh my
And
God.
I startled, so I started, you know, I don't know if probably I yelled, I don't know, but I screamed. But I'm very also easily startled and easily sort of scared. so I almost, you know, had a heart attack then. And then another time, the same thing happened. I was proofreading, QCing Gerald's Game, a movie based on Stephen King's novel, Gerald's Game. And it's very subtle. It's not one of those, you know, horror movies that are all over in your face, but it's very subtle. And it's about this giant who shows up in a room and sort of, you know, torments this woman who is tied to a bed, and she can't do anything. She's tied to a bed. So it's very, you know, as I remember, that one was very memorable to me, because I was it was, you know, in a lake house, very idyllic place anyway. And this woman was tied to her handcuffs. Her husband had died on her. So the husband was, you know, had died next to her in the bed. So she couldn't do anything. She had these hands tied to her bed in a kind of a sexual game that they were playing, and he dies during the sexual game. So it's you know, and this giant person, and this giant person shows up as I think he was called the Moon Guy, and he's very pale. And so this man shows up from time to time during these, you know, 24 hours that she's there without being able to get free. And so it's very psychological again, you know, nothing really happens, but it's this man that shows up, and this inability for her to do anything, just be scared and be all in her mind, you know. And again, my husband was there, and she and he it's the same thing. I was wearing my headsets, very into the movie, and also he taps my shoulder, and you know, this person behind me, hi. I just yes, it's very disturbing. I know, Debbie. I'm reading the comments. Very, very disturbing.
Hate horror movies, and this happened to me. I had to work overnight to complete them, and sometimes I got so scared because it's not kind of genre I like or I watch for fun. So, but anyway, they are like, they don't have much dialogue, and since we are paid by the minute, they are great jobs to jump in, because I mean, it's I don't like it either. It's horrible. And speaking about working under pressure, I assume you are used to working under pressure. Is that right? Or
yes, I guess every translator does, you know, audiovisual or not. I try not to be so much now, but yes, I, especially in always, I guess, but I particularly remember one instance, if you want another anecdote.
Yes, please.
where the film festival of Mar del Plata in Argentina. So a very renowned and established, for a long time film festival in Argentina, probably the biggest. That it's sort of commercial film festival. There are other independent film festivals. This is more of a commercial one. And for that one, we were in many cases working with like 2 or 3 hour difference between the time that you were submitting something and the time that the movie was going to be released for the first time. So that was very stressful, because you knew that many times it doesn't go through the quality control phase, and that it only goes through the timing, the syncing, the spotting of the subtitles into the time code so that it can be released with the movie. But so I was working on that without the time codes, just the translation. And there was this movie without a template, without a script, nothing. There was no additional or background information on it. And it was an Australian movie. I sort of released, sort of erased it from my memory because it was so stressful. So I don't remember the name of it. I think I want to say Caddy Movers, but I don't know. And I tried earlier to think about, anecdotes and try to find it but it's so long ago that I couldn't find it. But anyway, I think it's called like that. It was a very obscure, I don't even remember the plot. Those things that you completely erase from your memory after you submit it. And then yes, so it was this very Australian, very hard accent. Then, I hadn't lived in Australia by then. And I thought all Australians talk that way, but they don't. They really don't. But this one in particular, the accent was very thick, very hard, and the audio was not great. It was, meant to be sort of a kind of an indie movie. So it was filmed very, very sort of with very low budget, and it was black and white anyway. And the audio was bad. The accent was very thick, and there was no script. And I remember having full minutes of not understanding a word they were saying. But, not just one phrase. It was sometimes a whole minute that I couldn't get more than 3 or 4 words here and there, and no way to get more, it was so horrible. And I knew that I had to submit something within 2 hours of the movie being released on the cinema. And oh my goodness, it was stressful, horrible, because I really had no idea what they were saying. I asked, my housemate had lived in Australia at that point, and I asked him, and he helped me, but he couldn't also understand. He was English. He was originally from England, so he had some advantage that I didn't have, and yet he couldn't understand everything. So I had to content myself with just making up some phrases, because there was, that's the only last resource that you have. You can't leave 30 seconds, 15 seconds, you can't leave anything without subtitling it. So you have to put something. And your guess is better than the audience's guess. So
of course, yeah. You cannot leave the audience without anything. I mean, because it's noticeable, you see it there, you see that people are speaking and there's no subtitles. So that's impossible. I mean, there should be something there. Yeah.
Even if it is, like playing the film, you have to do something.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, thank you, Anna. That was so much fun. I mean, it's a way to know how we work and what audiovisual translation is about. So thank you so much for your time. I hope to see you maybe next time. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for this live. It's a lot of fun to see the other people.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Great. Well, that was so much fun. I mean, well, not for her, of course, but making up something, it's not usual. I am lucky enough to work always with a script or even with the template, but sometimes you have only audio when you are translating subtitles, and it's kind of impossible to understand, even if you are translating into your mother tongue, from your mother tongue into a foreign language. For example, in my case, I sometimes have to translate from Spanish into English, and sometimes, even if I'm from Argentina and they are products, audiovisual products from Argentina, it's difficult to understand what they say. So I can imagine what it was to understand Australian accent. For me, it's impossible. Well, and now I'm trying to invite Ana Gabriela Gonzalez Meade. She's the head of publications of the Audiovisual Division. Let me check if I can find her. Oh, there you are, Ana.
Hey.
How are you? Sorry, I couldn't find you, so I asked you to send a request. How are you?
Fine. How is everyone?
Fine. We have so many great comments so far. So I cannot read the comments. I'm sorry, and conduct the interviews, but I'm reading some of them, and they are really nice comments. So tell us what you do, what's your background, so we can know you a little bit more.
I'm 100% subtitler, and
Yeah.
since the early 90s. So you can imagine, I'm a subtitler at heart. I've done a lot of things, and I guess for the last maybe 10 years almost, I've also done a lot of dubbing QC, and because it's part of the job also.
Yeah.
And so I basically started as a subtitler from day one, and from there I've gone through every single phase that our industry has also gone through. Been like the digital revolution, because we were analog, and then we started little by little until we got to where we are right now. So I could tell a lot of stories about that. And I hold a master's in translation studies from the University of Portsmouth, and I love my job. I don't think there's many people that I see on a daily basis that can say what I've been saying for 2 and maybe almost like 3 decades. And I love my job.
Yeah, me too. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I will continue doing this, and I love it. It's a great field to work in. And how was work at the beginning? I asked Debbie, I'm kind half analog, half digital, let's say, but what did you work with, VHS or something else, or how was it?
Well, you can have the short version or the large version of how this is what when I have presentations, I talk about these, because people sometimes don't really know how primitive things were at the very beginning. We were like the Flintstones. So the industry, as I said, has undergone a lot of changes, and so basically we initially started working for broadcasters and cable TV content, and that was the first job a lot of us had. And from that, then it developed into a more predetermined media. But at the very beginning, it was what they call the special TV circuitry, and that's how things worked. So we, I think Debbie was saying something like this, that we would have to go and work at the TV network facilities. And in my case, I was just fresh out of high school, no, but I was studying foreign languages in college, and then I got my first shot at a huge TV network that we had here in Mexico, who that was government owned, and 2 years after I started working there, they sold it to private company, and it's been private since. So we've never had that again. Well, only there's just two government owned TV channels or networks, but this one was really big. It had 2 channels, and so that's where I started working at, and it was crazy. I mean, you wouldn't believe how crazy it was, because what we used was a professional VHS editing VCR player, which was a Sony. This was the very professional edition with like the editing pause on the kind of remote control that was attached with a cable to the VCR, and it was huge. And then a Sony Trinitron professional editing monitor, which were like little, but they had the best resolution. And this is all what was used at the post-processing facilities at the network. And then we had a mimeograph translation template, which wasn't really a template, because templates came, the game much later. But this was just like a mimeograph piece of paper, and it had it was like, instead of being photocopied, it was mimeographed. So that's how old it was, and it had the timing the timing codes, like on each side, the time in on one side, time out on the other side, and in the middle it had the 2 little lines for that you would use for translating each one of the characters. So you used every character for every like little slot. And then we were given a small table with the aspect ratio for calculations of characters per minute. So every single subtitle we did, we had to write it down with a pencil, because if you said, oh no, this is not right, or rewrite or whatever, you would have to just erase and go back and then have the timing also just written down manually, and then time out. And when you were done with with that, you had to erase, because then after that you had to like do the math with your little table and see how many characters you were allowed to use for every subtitle. That's how it worked. And
so you had to be like a mathematician, because you had to make additions and subtractions all the time with characters. Oh my God, that's
so you can imagine how long it would take for you to just, I don't know, go through like 5 minutes of video. Took like days sometimes. And then when you were done, as you were done, all the sheets that you were filling out, those were being passed to the Chiron operator, who would type everything into the Chiron. And then when the operator was done typing everything, you were done also translating. Then the editor, the post-production editor, would come in, and we would schedule time with the editing equipment to subtitle the film, which took hours and hours, because the Chiron the Chiron operator was there. I was there. The operator for the edition equipment was very specialized, and we used these huge I don't know how I can share a photo, but I can, no, not here, right? No, because I have the equipment that we used. But okay, it was.
We can post it on the Instagram profile later on.
Okay, well then I'll do that so people can see that. So they had to. We had the 3/4 like huge like tapes with the actual film on them, and they would be like pasting with the Chiron on top of the video every single subtitle, And if there was like a typo or something that the current operator didn't get, because they would just look at my handwriting, and then you would have to say stop. So they would stop the two tapes of the masters, and then you would have to say, that is not, I mean, I don't know. Why would you have vaca with a B as in, I don't know, as in Boston? And then, oh, because I thought that was, the right way. I'm like, is that the way you see it written down on my sheet of paper? No. Okay, then let's go back. Please change that. Okay. So then the operator for the masters would have to go like back on the tapes. And it was this was it would take hours and hours. So my friends would just go pick me up like at 2 a.m. They would just, leave the club, go pick me up, and then we'd go back, and like that, then I'd be able to party, because I was holed up there for like 6 hours at a time, 8 hours at a time, just to have that ready. And then it'd be ready for broadcasting, because everything was broadcasted.
Yeah,
So
I would have died. I mean, my handwriting is so awful that I wouldn't have survived. And that's I used to. I mean, I started typing, of course, because I cannot write by hand. I mean, it's impossible for me. But I mean, it's so much harder than today.
yeah. I mean, these only went on for like I said, at least in Mexico for just like a couple of years, because then that network was done, and the rest of the companies that did subtitling were already using the first ever the first computers, and those computers were like the very, very basic computers, and so we had these first subtitling software that was called SysTimes. And so we started, with the TV monitor. I think Anna said that too, mentioned that. We had the TV monitor on one side, and we had the VHS, in our case, like the VHS, the VCR, and then we would play that. We always needed to have a good VCR that had like the editing pause, so we could go like, frame by frame. And then you had your very, very like primitive computer, and then you would do that. You would just go, subtitle by subtitle, but at least with the first software, you didn't have to do the math yourself. So that was great. And then you got to type.
Obviously.
Yeah. So in those times, you had to know your two languages, and you had to know a lot of Spanish, because there are a lot of people, well, your target language thoroughly, and be an expert on it. But also you would have to know how to type. And back then, only people that for some reason had like that taught to them in high school or something, most people didn't have those skills. So you have to have that skill too, to type fast and be good at your job, because otherwise it'd take you forever to just type and do a movie or any programs. So yeah, and that's how it went. And then after that, then most of us started working, for bigger companies that were involved in the DVD and Blu-ray revolution. And that was the first digital revolution that we had, because it was not analog anymore. It was digital for the first time. So I remember the first companies that I worked for, the US based companies, they would send me like via DHL, the like CDs that were burned with the whatever I was going to work on, either like I don't know, the show or the movie. I would look at it, work on my computer, and then just attach it on an email, which was like much later on. But then, I mean, we've really gone through so much, and now it's so easy for us to just you go,
log in.
you log in. Yeah, it's a click to log in, and then you have the platform there. You work there, and it's so easy. And then you submit just by clicking a button. There's no more, not much more to do. But yeah, I mean, with most of us that started when around the time that I started, we've seen everything, and we've worked on every software, and we've worked with every, those diskettes that Debbie was talking about too. Those were like huge first, and then they got smaller, and then we got to attach them to emails. But with
right.
dial-on internet, oh God, that was fun.
Yeah, I remember that. Debbie was telling us here that she was one of the ones who picked you up at 2 a.m. in the morning to go working. So she was leaving a comment there. Thank you, Anna. That was so much fun. I mean, to know how work was in the old days, but not so old. I mean, it was not so long ago. I mean, the industry has changed so fast in the last years. I mean, it's amazing. And now we have the streaming revolution and YouTube, and well, okay, it's crazy. I mean, the kind of the different kinds of audiovisual material we have to work on today, it's amazing. So thank you so much for your time. I will invite Mara now, the last but not least, to talk a little bit more about audiovisual translation. Thank you.
Great.
See you next time. Bye-bye. Okay, let me check. Well, wasn't that great or what? I mean, being able to know how you worked in the old times, and for those of you who are maybe younger or have started working recently with specialized software, even open source software, I mean, is much more sophisticated than in the past. So this is really, really amazing. Now I will invite Mara. She's the website coordinator of the division. Hi, Mara.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, and you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so tell us something about yourself, what you do, where you are now. I see some little figures behind you.
Oh, yes, sorry, my lighting is not very good. Sorry,
it's
late.
okay, don't worry.
I'm in England. I'm in Reading. It's quite late, but it's quite dark now. But I'm originally from Argentina. I just moved here 2 months ago, so I'm just becoming a Readingite, and I love it so much. And well, I've also been in the business for 20 years. I started out in 1999. And yeah, I started working in a dubbing company in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. And I did a lot of translations for like documentaries, like Discovery Network's documentaries about animals, planes, you name it. And I did a lot of movies for them also. And after working with them for about 2 years, I was also project manager and a few other things. I delved into closed captioning and subtitling, and fast forward a few years, and I in 2004 I founded my own company, True Subtitles, and I've been working in my company since then, and we do a lot of captions, subtitles. We don't do any dubbing or audio description, but captions and subtitles for many platforms and broadcasters and channels. So yeah, now I'm the COO of the company, and I think about processes and train people and look for new technologies and everything. So that's
really cool. Yeah, that sounds so cool. We were talking about how work was at the beginning, or about which technology we had. But what happened with research? I mean, how was research before Google or Wikipedia, or What happened? What did we do before that? I can't remember.
Well, that was analog as well, because we didn't have Google back then. Most of us worked in the offices of the company that hired us. Well, there were very different approaches, from having to go out and buy a copy of Romeo and Juliet because you needed to quote one line of the play. Debbie, remember, she told us that she has the whole works of William Shakespeare that she bought for that exact reason. Yeah, I see some comments in encyclopedias. Exactly.
Yeah,
we had to do that.
Yeah.
We had to go to the library and look for information. That's why things took days. But in our case, in the dubbing company, since we did a lot of documentaries, the company had this little black book with phone numbers. They were in the secretary's office. So if you were working there in their offices and you needed the name, how is this crocodile named in Spanish, because it had to be very accurate. Discovery Networks is very, very particular about that. So you had to go downstairs from the office into the secretary's office and ask her for the book, and look up the crocodile specialist or whatever from different universities or museums and stuff. And you called them and you said, "Hi, I'm speaking from such and such a company. This is the list of crocodiles I have in my documentary. Can you please find me the names in Spanish?" And you gave them the 2 or 3 the scientific names of the crocodile, or sometimes you even had to kind of describe it or tell them a bit of what the show shared about the animal. And they said, "Okay, call me back in 5 minutes." So you hung up the phone, you waited 5 minutes, you called again, and they were like, "Okay, such and such is called, I don't know, alligator americano, and the other one is this and the other." So you took notes in your little notebook and you went back the stairs again and filled in the gaps in your translation. So we had this little book with specialists in many different areas, not only animals, but like planes and ships and different industries, the oil guys, I don't know, the textile people, and those were contacts that the company had been generating forever. And we had this little book and we had to call them. So,
you learn a little bit about everything when you translate documentaries. That's right. Anna, who was with us just a couple of minutes ago, says she had to buy medical encyclopedias to work on Dr. House, because it was breakthrough. I mean, that series was like he spoke so fast. I mean, the series was great, but he spoke so fast, and the vocabulary. Oh my God!
Yes.
Oh my God! Yeah. So. Yeah, you had to call, I mean, it's insane. You had to call somebody who was an expert to get maybe one word, maybe in your whole translation. That's really, really crazy. And you told us you have your own company, and of course, I understand you must be very busy. Can you remember any like stressful projects or something that was out of the ordinary, and how were you able to manage or to cope with that?
Yes, well, how long do we have?
We have 10 minutes, so
I have a few.
You have to condense, like in a subtitle. Yeah. Condense.
We're experts in that, so here we go. Well, so yes, the one that comes to mind is a few years ago, about 8 years ago, I was finishing my year-long maternity leave. So I was just coming back to work. My business partner had managed the business for that whole year, but we were very small at that time. We only had a team of about 7 or 8 subtitlers who worked freelance on a need basis. So I get back to work, and a few days later the phone rings, and our biggest client then, and actually now also, Netflix was just starting in Latin America. They just were starting to do subtitles, and they call us up, and not Netflix, our client calls us up and says, we have a whole batch of BBC shows that need subtitles, like Sherlock, Luther, documentaries, Doctor Who, a bunch of things. So we need 63 episodes done in 1 month in 2 languages, in Spanish and Portuguese. Can you manage that? And I said yes. I don't know why. I'm not usually the one that says yes. I usually say no. And my business partner hates me for that, because she says that we lose a lot of business because I always think that it's going to be too hard. So I just prefer to say no than to do something that is out of our depth. But I just said yes, like in the most calm voice and super convinced that we could do it. And when I told my business partner, she freaked out. She was like, we can't do this. We have 7 people working for us. They're probably busy with other things. We don't have many people for Portuguese. What are we going to do? Well, so we managed. We increased our team from 7 people to 23 in a couple of weeks. And we ended up delivering everything on time. We had to invent new processes for the company to have everything kind of QC'd in time. And people worked with freeware because professional software is still very expensive. So I think none of them had their own software. We had 1 copy of a software. So we kind of invented a way of making their files look a bit more professional. And well, we did it. We actually did it. And yeah, that was like a good moment in our history as a company, because we grew a lot in 1 month. We developed new processes, and we were able to sell our services as a very flexible company. We can expand and contract our company, the people working with us on a need to, whenever we want, we need to. And I think that is something that that sets our service apart. So it was very stressful, and I don't know what possessed me to say yes to that project, but here we are. We are very proud of the work we did on those episodes. They're very big shows, and we have them very big in our website. We proudly have worked on these shows. Of course, now I watch them and I find a ton of problems with the subtitles, and I hate them, and I wish I could go back and QC them this time, but never mind. I know that those are our subtitles, and that fills me with.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, everyone goes through that. I mean, when you see your old work, you say, oh, I could have done this better, but the point is that sometimes you need a push to grow. I mean, and I think that was the opportunity for you as a company. So that's a great story. I love it. I really love it. So thank you so much, Mara. I think we don't have much time. Let me check my clock. No, we don't have much time, but that was awesome. Yes. So I hope to see you again, maybe for another Instagram Live. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Bye-bye.